And welcome you to the Hannycast for Monday, March the 30th. I'm Charles Hanagriff, former Tiger baseball coach Dan Canevari. LSU takes 2 out of 3 over the weekend from Kentucky, their first SEC series win of the season, and moved to 4-5 in conference play. Dan, we're going to get into the baseball in just a second, but today we had the introductory press conference for Will Wade and a lot of excitement on the campus right now. I had a chance to go out and see the football team practice on Saturday. New coach there. You got a new men's basketball coach coming in, and there's just a lot of excitement around the entire program right now.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's great for LSU. I think we've really made a nationwide statement as a university that we're going to do whatever it takes to win. And I think the people here in Louisiana, as Will Wade alluded to, that's what they want. They want winners. They want us to go for it, and the people make this place special, and Will really appealed to that. I think, like Will said, one thing in his press conference, I think was really people didn't really understand. But when you come in to coach at a new place, yeah, it takes a while. Like he said, it took 18 months to learn, where to go, how to purchase things, who to talk to, who's this guy, who's the booster, who's the one to get, and all these things that involved in the program. But for Will, kind of like President Trump coming back in office, getting reelected. I mean, he knew everything that everybody that was there, and it was like it slipped right into an old comfortable shoe, and so he can hit the ground running. He doesn't have to figure a lot of things out.
And Dan, the other thing about, and you're right, of course, I can't think of a 4-year period in which college athletics has changed more than since Will Wade has been here. Think about it. Since Wade came here, since Wade left here, transfers are now allowed immunity on unlimited transfers without sitting out. Revenue sharing has come into play, and NIL has come into play. So the game itself is vastly different. Now, he's been in the game. He's been at McNeese, been at NC State, so he's had to deal with all these rule changes. But having to deal with all of that and having to acclimate yourself at a new place would be challenging. So the fact that he's got all of those boxes checked walking into the job, I think allows him to have an expedited, an expedited, I don't want to say learning curve, but ramp up, if you will, to everything.
Use his term. It's time to boot up. Time to boot up, Charlie.
I'll tell you a quick story about when he got here the first time. We were talking with him, and LSU had won 2 games in the SEC the year before. And I said something to him. I said, "Look, man, if you win 4 or 5 next year, you'll have double the total. That's a pretty good first year." And he looked at me like I had really offended him, suggesting that they would only win about 4 or 5 games the first year. This is all pre-NIL, transfer portal and all that stuff. He says, "We're not coming here to win 5 games." I said, "I understand that, but there's a ramp up." Well, he got him to 8 wins the first year and 16 the second year in the league and won the league. So I would expect it'll move everything along pretty good. And like I said, this upcoming year of LSU athletics, man, there's a lot to look forward to. There's still a lot of baseball season left to go, but there's a lot to look forward to come the fall.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, and I do want to say something, along the lines of what you said. Not only is he coming in with all the rule changes, but he came from McNeese, and then he went 1 year at North Carolina State. But revenue sharing, NIL, and transfer portal at McNeese is different than it is at LSU or at NC State. And I think one thing that people have to understand, and Will was very eloquent about it, because I coached at Southeastern Regional School, and those schools are great, but it's a different type of coaching. And I think Will said he really humbled himself and really got back to his roots, because he coached a lot of it himself. You didn't have all the amenities, and you still had to compete at a national level. So I think that stint at McNeese, especially in this year, really made him a much better coach. So I'm looking forward to the new and improved Will Wade, and in the new era of college basketball, and see if he can do it. I mean, I think he's prepped for it. And I think the biggest thing, Charlie, is the PMAC's going to be exciting. You got Mulkey doing her thing over there, and she's doing a great job. and it's excitement in there. Will's already got excitement back because the people loved him when he was here. And also don't forget Jay Clark's over there doing a great job with gymnastics. So the PMAC could be the hot spot for a while at LSU.
Yeah, you're right. And that gymnastics team, the women's team lost a heartbreaker on Friday night in the Sweet 16. That gymnastics team is going to be hosting a regional this weekend. They've got an opportunity to win the national championship. My gymnastics experts tell me that it's a 3-horse race, maybe 4, for the national title with LSU, Oklahoma, Florida, and maybe UCLA. So they've got a great chance to do that. So I think you're exactly right. We're brought to you by the Capital Area USSSA Baton Rouge baseball affiliate, hosting events all spring long from league play to the Rec All-Star divisions, AA, AAA, Major League, state, and national levels. Great events lined up all the way through the spring. For more information, contact Lane Petrie, 771-9095. Lane Petrie, 771-9095, area code 225 for the Capital Area USSSA. All right, Dan. Let's go through the weekend and let's go back and start on Friday night. First of all, LSU ran into an excellent pitcher in Jackson Jelkin. He throws what they call a turbo sinker, and I want you, the pitching coach, to tell me if that's what it sounds like. But he really tied LSU in knots for 8 innings. And Jay Johnson said after the game, he says, "I think this guy is one of the top pitchers in college baseball right now, and a very high pick." So LSU had their problems with Jelkin on Friday night.
Yeah, turbo sinker means it powers down. It's hard to hit. When you do hit it, it takes the bat out of your hand, so to speak. The guy threw 114 pitches and got him into the 8th inning. That's as good as anybody can do against a quality opponent from the starting pitching on a Friday night. He just was dominant. And as we say many times, it's the best way to win a ball game is have dominant pitching, and he certainly did that and held LSU in check.
Does it have the same motion? I was watching it pitch the other night. It looked like it had some of that hard sinking motion, almost like what they used to call a fork ball.
Split finger, fork ball.
Yeah,
just powers down hard. Looks like a fastball and just buries down hard. And it's hard. People don't realize how it's hard to hit, but now these guys are throwing all kinds of crazy pitches, and you see a guy one time with a pitch that you don't see a lot. Charlie, here's what people don't understand. How do you simulate that in batting practice? If you don't have anybody throws that pitch even on your team, which you can't do during the season, you can do in the fall, but you just don't see it a lot. And so that's the hard part, is to simulate those pitches in the pregame batting practice or in the practice before.
My theory, and I'm asking you, the pitching coach, my theory on why more people didn't throw it was the amount, especially the old fork ball, was the amount of pressure put on your elbow. And
the way you release it pops your elbow.
Yeah, it's a high torque on the elbow, and you're going to get, if you ever run into problems with it, coming back and throwing that pitch is tough if you have to have some kind of surgery. I remember you remember a guy pitched for the Angels named Brian Harvey back in the 90s. He was a closer for them, and that guy had the most wicked fork ball that I had ever seen, but he blew his elbow out and didn't really make it back after that. So is that the biggest reason you don't see more guys throw it, or is it just a really hard pitch to throw?
It's a hard pitch. I was going to say, not only does it hurt your arm if you do throw it, but it's hard to perfect and hard to control. So it's just one of those things. Certain guys can figure it out and have a knack for it.
Let's talk about Kason Evans. 6 innings. What I liked about it was that he fought his way through this thing. He gave 4 runs in the first 2 innings, and he hung in there. The last thing you want is your Friday night guy to get knocked out early in these games. It just messes up your bullpen for the whole weekend. So I like that he battled. But this is the walk total is up again, Dan. And it's not the first time this has happened to him. And 6 walks in 6 innings is just way, way too many for you Friday. It was too many for anybody, but especially a Friday night guy.
Yeah, that's alarming, especially after the performance he had the previous week. Again, coach is looking for consistency, and again, Kason's got so much talent. He pitches that ball game, and deep down inside, Jay Johnson and Nate Yeske are going, all right, we're going to get our Friday night guy. We got the guy. Let's see him do it again. Doesn't have to be as great as it was last week, but let's give me a good, solid outing. And it's just it's disappointing because it wasn't that at the level they were hoping for. But as you say, Charlie, from a standpoint, he saved the pitching for the rest of the weekend by fighting his way through and competing when he didn't have his good stuff. And that's the mark of a champion. So you got to give the guy a lot of credit. He's a good competitor. And hopefully it'll click and it'll fall in place as we move through the SEC schedule.
Well, you saw both of these outings, Dan. What is there something different mechanically with him? Because last week he struck out 15 and walked one against a reasonably good Oklahoma team, and this is a pretty good Kentucky team. You know, we're just looking at the records. There's a lot of the teams that are, in the middle of the Southeastern Conference. What was the difference between? I mean, I can read the line score, but you tell me from the eye test here. What looked different about Case and Evans against Oklahoma versus against Kentucky?
It's all about command and feel, and so the velocity was there, the pitches were there, but command and feel. When you walk people, it's command and feel. But again, let's face it. Why is Steve Milam only hitting under 250? It's the same thing as Case and Evans. It's just not clicking yet. The talent's there, but he's just not having a good year. But the year is still young, so to speak. And of course, we're all impatient, and so are all coaches are impatient, but they have to be patient. And so every week you're hoping for something. So I don't think it's anything mechanical. It's just a touch and feel, command of the baseball, and like major league players, they could go 0 for 20 in a slump, but they know they're going to hit 320 because they're a 320 hitter. I think it's just a matter of if he gets it right, he could string together 3, 4, 5 outings in a row where he's dominant, and now he's on fire at the end of the year. And that's, again, what the coaches are hoping for. You got to keep putting him out there because he's your best option, at the front end of the rotation.
Located in the heart of downtown Hammond, Cina, an upscale Italian restaurant serving traditional dishes in contemporary fashion, inspired by the abundance of fresh local produce and the ways of old. Cina, creating a unique dining experience using local ingredients and delicious recipes to create an exceptional dining experience while providing a fresh and inclusive atmosphere to be enjoyed by everyone. Cina in downtown Hammond. There was a play in this ball game, Dan, that I've been thinking about really all weekend, and we're talking about situational awareness. Skip and you guys used to call it how to win awareness. It's just the little things in a baseball game that you can't see in the box score. This was in the 7th inning on Friday night, and LSU at the time was down 5-2. Runners at second and third, and 1 out. And so LSU brought the infield in, and they had the shift on. So Trent Caraway was essentially playing straightaway shortstop. And they get a ball hit to him. It wasn't hit exceptionally hard, but I thought it was hit hard enough that there was going to be a play at the plate. And Caraway kind of lollipopped it in there. It was just kind of a very casual throw out in front of the plate. And it wasn't anywhere close to getting the runner. So the run scores. You don't get the out at first base. I've had some debate with some guys, interesting conversation, not animated or anything, about whether he should have gone to first or come home. I said, well, I'll hear an argument about him going to first because the ball wasn't hit hard enough. But what I can't get in my head is why he lollipopped that throw to the plate, knowing that if he was going to have a play at the plate, he was going to have to put it in there with some steam on it. And if you're down 3 runs and Jelkin's throwing the turbo sinker, you're already down 3 runs. It's the 7th inning. You're bringing the infield in to cut the run down. I thought it was a brain hiccup for Caraway, and it wasn't the only one this weekend, but boy, it was the one I was like, are you paying attention, man? Because that's got to drive Jay Johnson nuts.
It'll drive you nuts as a coach. Okay, so they had the infield up, correct, Charlie?
Yes.
Infield was up.
Okay, you're trying to cut the run down. You're already down 3. It's the 7th inning.
Right. The thing is, when the infield comes up, the coach is saying, we have to cut this run off, okay? If the ball's hit hard right at you, it's an easy play. You come right to the plate if you catch it clean, okay? If the ball's not hit hard, you got to come in and get it anyway, so you might as well go for it. But if you don't go for it, then you got to lay back and get the out at first. So you have to make that judgment, but you really have to make that judgment ahead of time. Remember, Caraway's played third most of the year and all fall, correct?
Yes.
So he's in an uncomfortable, unusual situation,
Played
indecisive,
a little bit of second too, but yeah, he's mostly third.
indecisive.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what gets you in baseball in those situations. Indecisive. Okay. He won't
I,
do that again. Unfortunately, as a coach, they got to go through it. They got to do that until they get it. And that, again, as we talk about a lot, this is his first year here, though he played at Oregon State, but maybe he didn't play second base at Oregon State. He wasn't clear about what's going on. That's part of having new people every year. That's very difficult to get that communication. So you play it through the year and they have to figure it out and get on the same page as we go along. It's nothing to do with Jay not making the right call, bringing the infield up. It's nothing to do with Caraway not being a good player. It's just the indecision, the indecisiveness of going through that situation in your head before the ball's hit.
it was almost like they lost track of the situation, and where Cerner receives his ball is out in front of the plate, almost like Caraway thought that there were was a forced situation at the plate, and where Cerner would have been able to keep his foot on the plate and then maybe throw down the first for the double play, which I don't think the ball was hit hard enough to do that. But it seemed like they lost track of the entire situation there. You saw the play. Did you think it was hit hard enough to come to the plate?
I think in that situation, you made the call, so to speak. You brought the infield up. If
Yeah.
it's hit hard, like I'm saying, if you're coming in, that's where your momentum's going. Go for it because the coach made the call. If you're playing halfway, then you make a decision. But if he made it, you got to be in a ready position. You see it, the ball's hit. I'm attacking the ball because I got to cut that play off the plate. Like you just have to go all in and just trust the coach's judgment. I think he was kind of not like I said, indecisive about where to go with the ball, which the coach already made the decision.
Yeah, like to have that one back. We're brought to you by Marucci, MarucciSports.com. Check out the campus tour right now. You know, right here in Baton Rouge, we've got this fantastic facility that is the very, very top of Major League Baseball, the official bat of Major League Baseball. You want to see how all of this came to life, how it all started. They've got wonderful museum pieces, and you can go walk through the wood shop that's responsible for all the bats that are in the Major League players' hands. You can see the craftsmanship behind the bats, all of the painting, the finishing rooms. You can shop exclusive limited edition gear in the gift shop with discounts Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. If you want a group tour, please you can book that online at maruccisports.com/campus-tour to go by and see it at Marucci Sports out there off of Segan Lane. All right, let's move into Saturday after LSU dropped the opener of the series. Now you got to come back, and William Schmidt is going to get the ball. Moving up, obviously with the injury to Brown, so he's in the Saturday role here. And Dan, I thought he was exceptional on Saturday. Really came out, started putting some zeros up. Let the batters relax in there without being behind right away. They got him some runs, and I thought Schmidt was terrific, but even more so because he's been pitching well. But Zach Cowan now has put together over 8 innings. He pitched the last 3 2/3 innings. We talked about this last week with Brown going out. If Jay Johnson has an opportunity to win a game on Friday or Saturday using Zach Cowan, he's going to use him. Now, if he doesn't have to use him, he's going to start him maybe on Sunday. But he pitched exceptionally well, threw zeros up there through the last 3 2/3 innings. So the dominant pitching was there for LSU on Saturday.
Yeah, and Schmidt's really stepped it up and having a good year. And people will say, "Well, maybe we'll move him into Friday night." But one of the things you have to understand is a lot of coaches think Saturday is the most important game to win, because if you lose Friday, you got to win Saturday. If you win Friday and you win Saturday, now you won the weekend, and now Sunday becomes a different thing. But I think you made a great point with Zach Cowan. If he can keep pushing along, because if you look at it, it'd be nice to have Cowan on a Sunday. But like you said, unless the bullpen comes up, it looks like he's a piece to win the games early when you got a shot on Friday, Saturday. But, he had 3 2/3 innings. Let's just say he got 4 innings in almost. He only had 54 pitches. Okay, which means he can go deep in a game when he does go in, if he can consistently do that. And he doesn't walk a lot of people. He had 7 strikeouts, only 1 walk. So that's a heck of an outing. That's a Sunday guy if you can get him in there.
He pitched back-to-back days more than once last year. What's kind of the point of no return to bring him back the following day? Is it 50 pitches? Is it 40 pitches? Is it more than that, less than that?
Every guy's different. I think he's got a little bit more pitch count can be a little higher because he's not a velocity guy. He's a command guy. I think for him probably to come back, if you keep between 25 and 35 pitches, he's good the next day because of his stuff, because he'll be sharp. And that's almost like throwing on the side, so to speak. There's a little pressure to it, but he could come back the next day. If he goes 35 or higher, maybe to 35 to 50 pitches, I think you got to give him a day to have him really be good in that second outing.
Yeah, he was motioning like he was going to go down to the pen on Sunday, and Jay just kind of humored him a little bit. As it turned out, they didn't need him, but something to monitor moving forward if they aim to use him twice in a weekend, what they think they can get out of him. Another big story on Saturday was Mason Braun, who got his first chance in a while. He was in the starting lineup at the beginning of the season, but he's a freshman. He took his lumps, got a start as a DH on Saturday. And Cano, he had 2 extra base hits. He had a double and a 3-run homer. He drove in 4 runs. So good for that young man. Boy, if they could get him going, they'll take the hits anywhere they can get them. He was an awfully impressive young man in the fall and in the season. So maybe that's a good sign that we'll see a little bit more of Mason Braun.
Yeah, we hope that happens. Outstanding prospect, number 1 first baseman, in the country, and prospect when he coming out of high school. They need him to hit. We need hitting, and sometimes it's good for a guy to play, and especially as a freshman, and then sit back, watch the other guys do it, kind of gather yourself, keep working, and then when you get that next opportunity, you kind of took a breather, and now you're better prepared for that next opportunity. So hopefully this is the start of somebody catching fire, much like Cerna, who's played very well and hit very well. He started out a little slow, and now he's moving in and hitting close to 300 every single week. So hopefully those 2 freshmen can step it up and give you those graduation performances that we talked about a lot.
Well, Cerna caught all 3 games this weekend. We didn't see Aaron Beatty. He's not hurt. They've made a call there. Cerna had 2 hits in the game on Saturday. He had a hit in the game on Friday night. So apparently, at least for the moment, that's the direction that Jay wants to go in behind the plate.
Yeah, he's going to go with it and get Cerna and see if he can step it up and keep improving and improve on defense. I think they're a little concerned about the catching defense is not up to the standard that LSU would like. Then hopefully Cerna can pick up on that.
I haven't forgotten about Dardar, but I want to talk about him when we get to the Sunday game. We're brought to you by everythinglsu.com. You're looking for anything LSU, go to everythinglsu.com, shipping out of Baton Rouge. Got all your Lane Kiffin gear, all your Lane Train, your sweatshirts, your long sleeve T-shirts, your decals, your caps. Got national championship gear from last year's baseball team, the vintage Sailor Mike polos and bunch of different colors: purple, gray, black, white. You got your Lynn Rollins specials: pucker up and kiss that baby goodbye. Lots of LSU gear at everythinglsu.com. I imagine they'll have Will Wade stuff pretty quick.
The general stuff is coming out. Yeah, boot up and the general.
Yeah, looking for that. So go to everythinglsu.com to make your order. Sunday's game, the most interesting of the 3 to me, Dan, because Kentucky really controlled the game on Friday, and LSU really controlled the game on Saturday. But on Sunday, LSU found themselves down a touchdown. It was 7-0 in the 3rd inning. Gavin Guidry had already been knocked out of the game. Santiago Garcia had been knocked out of the game, and LSU finds themselves going into the bottom of the 3rd inning down 7-0. It could have gotten away from them, but they get a big knock out of John Pearson. He hits the grand slam. They get another 2-run double, and they get right back in it at 7-6. And from there, then it turned into a typical Sunday run day, fun day, whatever you want to call it, free for all, and we get 27 runs scored in the game. So, Dan, every team's going to face some adversity. And when you can overcome it, sometimes it's a turning point for you. I don't want to go overboard here, but coming from 7 runs down to win and to win a series out of it seems like a pretty significant accomplishment to me, and we'll see if LSU can build on it.
As a coach, you go to bed that night and you hope you wake up the next day and it wasn't a dream, and you hope that the next time you play it looks like that again, and that makes you feel better, like you're moving in the right direction. You might have turned the corner. They might have understood that. But the one thing Jay goes to bed with feeling good about is they were highly competitive. They didn't give up, and that's always a good sign. And hopefully that ignites some people to play a lot better.
Seth Dardar had 3 hits in this game. He had 3 hits in the game on Friday night. All of them extra base hits on Friday night. He had 3 doubles, and he had a home run and a double in this game.
And had 3 walks and scored 2 runs on Saturday.
That's right. So he had a monster weekend. I think you can see him back in there at second base a little bit close. He started out the season hot, then he went into a slump, and they've kind of been rotating at second base now. I think we can see him in there. He made a couple of nice defensive plays too, though. He did spike one that could have been a double play, so it wasn't perfect, but there were some nice plays too. Tell me about the bat flip. This big home run to put LSU up, 3-run shot. And he flipped the bat. Bat flipping were an Olympic sport.
He didn't flip it. It was like a javelin toss.
Yeah, he would have medaled.
I mean, it was huge. I'm an old school guy. I'm not big on the sellies and the bat flips, but that was, to me, a little too much. But I think he got caught up in the excitement of the moment and the crowd and everything. It certainly got it really exciting in the park when Jay and Nick Mangione got back and forth with a little jarring going on after that.
Well, I think what Jay said after the game was a little lower with the bat flip, please.
Yeah, I mean, it was just too much.
In the old days, you'd taken one in the collar the next time, probably.
Oh yeah, in the old days, the next guy's going down, or they're going to wait for you to come back up again. Especially if you're down by 7 runs, then somebody's going down for that one.
Let's talk about Guidry for a second. Like Zach Cowan, I think he goes into weekends, Dan, not knowing exactly what might be needed out of him. For instance, if LSU had won the game on Friday night and used Zach Cowan, they might have used Gavin Guidry in the situation on Saturday. But if you don't use him, then he's in position to start on Sunday. But it didn't go well for him. After a hot start, he's really scuffled of late. What do you see?
Just trying to figure it all out again. He had a good start. I think the people have a good read and good scouting reports. Now he's pitched a lot. He's added a new pitch and been a little bit better, but he's not dominant, overpowering pitcher. But he's a highly competitive guy, highly emotional guy. Again, he's going to keep fighting. He's going to keep getting through it. But they need him to really try to come through here. And like you said, Charlie, I think what he has to do is come into the weekends knowing whenever he's called upon, just try to get as many outs as you can and hand the ball off and not get ahead of himself. So sometimes when a guy's starting and he's been in the pen, they're worried about how long can they go, how distant can they go. I think we just got to get it down to let's just get one out at a time, and you'll always be closing, so to speak, from Glengarry, Ross, right? Glengarry, Glenn Ross, always be closing.
Yeah, I remember the film. Pretty memorable scene with Alec Baldwin. I gotta ask you again this situational awareness, and it was another one that bothered me on Sunday. Mason Braun is at first base. LSU's down 3 runs, and there's a base hit to right field, and he's going to third with 1 out, and he's going to third base. Well, the single was by Stanfield. So guess who's coming to the plate next? Jake Brown, okay? Your best hitter. You're down 3 runs. Jake Brown's coming to the plate. He would represent the tying run if you just stay at second base. So I'm bothered that he ran and he got thrown out at third base pretty easily. And I'm really bummed that he ran through the stop sign because Jordan threw up the stop sign over at third base. So again, that's what it ended up not costing them. They win the game. But those things, like I said, just have to be driving Jay Johnson crazy.
freshman mistakes. Hasn't played enough high level baseball, lost the moment, kind of thing. But again, Charlie, situational awareness. The only time they're going to pitch to Jake Brown is if there's somebody on first and second base. No need to make an out at third base and then just leave one guy. Like, you got to get Jake Brown to the plate with people on base where they have to pitch to him, and that's just a not understanding the moment, not playing that level of baseball. Again, it's one of those teaching moments though for Jay. Now that happened, I don't think you'll see that happen again the rest of Mason Braun's career.
We're brought to you by Dependable Storage. Discover your nearest dependable storage location. Climate-controlled units, premium security features. Every facility ensures a top-notch storage experience. Whether you're a resident, a college student, you got to store some stuff away for the summer, or a business owner, your facilities cater to your needs in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Houma, Slidell, Jefferson, Prairieville, and Youngsville, several other neighboring areas. Free use of the rental truck for your move-in. They'll match any prices from their competitors, flexible lease terms, and secure and climate-controlled options. More information, go online at dependablestorage.com. The league right now through 3 weeks, Dan, is really, really jumbled up. Mississippi State, Texas, and Georgia are out at 7-2. Florida and Alabama at 6-3. Florida's got 3 sweeps on the season, two in their favor and one in the other direction. And then there's a handful of teams at 5-4, handful of teams at 4-5 where LSU is. The next 2 weeks are on the road. They're at Tennessee and they're at Ole Miss, and both of those teams are 3-6 in the league right now. Tennessee was walked off. Dan, this ever happened to a team of yours, either for or against? They were walked off 3 times by Vanderbilt. Last at bat, walked off 3 times this weekend. And Ole Miss.
I don't think I've seen that before in an SEC weekend.
Yeah, got to be heartbreaking for them. Might not be catching them at the best time. And then Ole Miss had a real problem scoring runs in the last 2 weeks, in the last 2 games of the series this weekend that they had against Mississippi State. They only scored 2 runs in the last 2 games combined, and they only scored 6 for the weekend. So LSU's wrapping up a 9-game homestand with the Tuesday night game against Southern, and it's on the road for 2 straight weeks in the SEC. 2 teams with losing records that are looking to rebound. Both of these teams were ranked in the preseason.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a tough run here the next 2 weeks. Hopefully we play better on the road and we figure some things out and playing against competition that, looking at it record-wise, we're kind of in the same boat. So I think we're going to see what this team's made of. Hopefully this is the time where we start making our move to get to the top of the pack in the SEC.
All right. Again, LSU going on the road after this Tuesday night game against Southern. Tennessee is an early start on Friday, a 4:30 in the afternoon start. That is Good Friday afternoon, 4:30 there, Saturday at 5 o'clock, and Sunday at noon as the Tigers travel to Knoxville. For Dan Canevari, I'm Charles Hanagriff, and for Monday, March the 30th, has been the Hannycast.